Have you ever walked out of a meeting feeling weirdly optimistic? Like, okay, that was a good meeting, we're aligned. And then 48 hours later, you realize the meeting didn't actually do anything. Nothing moved forward. Nobody owns the next step. Three people remember what the decision was and differently even. And the one person who did take notes took them in a notebook that's now missing in action, like it joined the witness protection program. And then the real meeting happens, the follow-up meeting, where everyone tries to remember what happened in the first meeting. Yeah, that's not a Microsoft Teams problem. That's not an Outlook problem. That's not even a too many meetings problem. That's a workflow problem. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Feature. This is the podcast where we stop hunting features and start upgrading workflows. And you kind of notice we have a new format going on. I'm trying out video podcasting. So if you're listening to it, you can still listen to it. But if you're watching it, hey, you get to see me and my background in the office. So last week we talked about the 4 quadrants of Microsoft 365 in the modern workplace: communication, collaboration, productivity, right? But then there's another quadrant that we added, which was innovation. And innovation is right where the workflow upgrades live, right? That's where they are. Innovation brings those two, and it's the area, it's the space between, right? So this week, we're going after one of the biggest sources of wasted time in office life, right? Meetings that feel productive, but don't produce any work. And today, I'm going to give you a simple way to fix that. A workflow you can use whether you're in Teams, Zoom, in person, honestly, sitting around a table with a donut box and mild confusion, right? I call it the 24-hour rule. And here's the idea. If a meeting matters, within 24 hours, it should produce 4 things: a decision, an owner, next step, and a home where it all lives. It's simple, not fancy, but it's powerful, right? So most meetings don't fail because people don't care. They fail because meetings are treated like an event, like we attend meetings. But work doesn't happen because you attended. Work happens when something changes after the meeting. Here's what usually goes wrong. The meeting has no output, right? That's problem number 1. The meeting's a conversation, but not a production line. People talk, nod, share screens, and then everyone leaves with a vague sense of, we should probably do something, right? We've all been there. Another problem number 2, is the notes aren't connected to any action. If somebody takes notes. So the idea is someone takes notes, nobody sees them. They're all in an email maybe, or they're in a chat, or they're in a document somewhere called meeting notes, which is pretty much the Bermuda Triangle of an organization. Nobody looks at meeting notes. Problem number 3 is there's no default home. So the next time someone needs a decision, the status or a file, they don't go to a home, they go to a person. And that's when work becomes exhausting, because now the process is ask around until someone remembers where that's at. So the fix isn't schedule fewer meetings. The fix is make every meeting produce work, right? So here's where Beyond the Feature workflow fits in. Within 24 hours after any meeting that matters, you should be able to answer 4 questions. What did we decide? Not what we discussed, not what we brainstormed, what changed? If nothing changed, that meeting could have been a message. Who owns what? Not we, not the team, a name, because we'll do it is how work disappears. What's the next visible step? Not keep moving. What's the next thing that'll happen when someone can see us, right? What's the next thing we're going to do? And then where does this live? This is the one that changes everything. If someone asks next week, what did we decide? You shouldn't have to search for it. You should be able to say, well, it's in the project channel. It's pinned. It's in the meeting notes. It's in the tab. It's in the tracker. That's a workflow. Now let's make it practical. I'm going to give you 3 meeting upgrades that have nothing to do with knowing features, right? It's not about what buttons to click in Teams. It's going to be everything about how work flows. So here's upgrade number 1. Start with the output, not the agenda. Try this in your next meeting. Instead of only writing an agenda, write the line. By the end of this meeting, we're going to have a decision, an owner, a next step, and a home where it lives. That's it. You'll be shocked by how quickly meetings tighten up when people know the meeting is supposed to create an output. Now, here's upgrade number 2 for you. It's called the parking lot for distractions. Meetings go off the rails because people bring side quests. Oh, also, what about the printer? Get that a bunch. Which question are we looking at? Quick question about invoices. While we're here, can we talk about the redesign? These things may be important, but they're just not this meeting. So create a parking lot. Could be a note section, a loop component, even a simple list. And here's the key. A parked item must become either a scheduled follow-up, an assigned task, or really it's officially not happening. Otherwise, it's just a guilty list. Here's the third upgrade, the 2-minute close. The last 2 minutes of the meeting are the most important. They're more important than the first 10. In the final 2 minutes, ask 4 rapid fire questions. What did we decide? Who owns it? What happens next? And where does it live? That sums it up and helps us put it on track. That close is the difference between a meeting that felt good and a meeting that produced work. So let me give you a couple examples. So here's first one, a client kickoff meeting, right? It's small business type, meeting. Let's say in this small business, you just signed a new client. You have a kickoff meeting. Typical outcome, a bunch of notes and a feeling of momentum. And then Monday hits and everyone asks, so what are we doing again? So here's the beyond the feature version. So we're doing a phased rollout, week 1 discovery, week 2 pilot, week 3 training. The owner, Jenny, owns the discovery notes, Mark owns the schedule, and I own the client feedback. Next step, by Friday, 2 p.m., Jenny posts discovery summary and questions. And the home, it's a Teams channel called Client Acme Company, a pinned OneNote or loop page called Kickoff Decisions, a project file or folder stored in SharePoint, a planner board or to-do list, something for the tasks. And now when the client emails you next week asking a question, you don't scramble. You go to the home. That's where everybody is putting all of the information, and you pull that answer. You respond like a professional, not like a detective. Let me get back to you. I got to research. That's return on investment. That saves time and it makes you look professional. So if you're using Copilot, right, inside there, you can even after the meeting, Copilot can help you summarize that meeting into decision, owner, and next step. Draft maybe a follow-up email to the client based on that, or turn your notes into a simple kickoff checklist. Those are all things that can help add to your project, but you're still the one driving the workflow. Copilot is the power steering, but you're holding the wheel. So here's another example. This is an internal meeting that keeps happening, right? Recurring. You know this meeting. The same meeting happens every week, and it's always the same issues. Onboarding is inconsistent, approvals are slow, people don't know where to find the right forms. Someone always asks the same question again. This is the perfect meeting to turn into an innovation, right? So here's the decision. We're going to standardize onboarding into a single checklist and stop doing it from memory. The owner, Chris, owns the checklist. Dana owns the access request flow. Next step, by Wednesday, we'll have a draft checklist and test it on the next new hire. And then the home for those, that's a SharePoint page called Onboarding Hub, Microsoft List called an Onboarding Tracker, and a Teams channel with a tab at the top pinned that points to that. Now, the meeting stops being status therapy and becomes a system building meeting. That's innovation, and that's beyond the feature. So again, we have Copilot too. So let's talk about Copilot the right way, not like a commercial, because they're not paying me. If they did, talk like a commercial, but they're not. So we're going to talk about it in honest terms. Copilot is best when you use it for repeatable friction points, turning meeting chaos into a structured output. summarizing decisions for people who couldn't attend, drafting a follow-up message that maybe makes sense that you can adjust and personalize, or converting your notes into tasks or checklists. But the honest truth, if your meeting has no home, Copilot will still help, but you'll lose the output anyway. So don't start with Copilot. Start with that 24-hour rule, then let Copilot become the multiplier. Now, here's a takeaway for you. Takeaway time. 3 quick parts you can actually use. Number 1, the question. If someone asked me what we decided, could I answer in 1 sentence? If not, your next meeting needs a decision. Number 2, the workflow to try this week is to pick your next meeting and do the 2-minute close. Before anyone leaves, capture a decision, an owner, next steps, and home. Even if it's messy, even if it's basic, do it anyway. It's a start. Now, there's also a reflection element because that's the metacognition part. That's what makes us remember and really take ownership. Did our meeting reduce work or did it create work? Rate it 1 to 5. And by the way, that reflection habit, that's exactly what I'm building in the daily workflow app that I've got coming out soon on Android and pretty soon on iTunes or in the Apple Store. So that app is going to be about building those daily workflows and enhancing the reflection. Because again, metacognition, that's where you grab it, you personalize it, and it sticks. So it's a small concept, but try it. Reflect, rate it, build on those wins, right? See how it's working for you. Because that's how work gets better without needing a massive reorganization. So this week's Beyond the Feature upgrade is simple. Meetings should produce work. And the way you make that happen is the 24-hour rule. Decision, owner, next step, home. Try it once and you'll feel the difference immediately. Because the real win isn't the meeting itself. The win is that you stop rehashing the same conversations over and over. Next week, we're going to build on this with a topic that saves hours every month. It's called the source of truth rule. How to stop hunting for the latest version forever, right? But you got to wait till next week on that one. Thanks for listening. And remember, if you like this podcast or you think it helped you, if you're one of the people that this talks to, right, subscribe to it, rate it so that it can be found by others, just as easily. Share it so that people see. And thanks for listening. And I'll see you next time on Beyond the Future.